Yeah, 25 minutes. Let's start now. So I think I will go with the Sangeeta and go to right. And it's basically the same thing as I asked to the previous panel. Just start up with the introduction and some introduction via company status, achievement and challenges, those kind of things in a short manner as possible.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sangeeta from Reorbit. We are based in Helsinki, Finland, and we build software-defined satellites. We have Earth observation LEO satellites as well as small sat for GEO, and we're looking at providing the sovereign capability for some of the nations that would like to own, control, and operate their satellites. In terms of highlights, I would like to mention one of our contracts that we received from the European Space Agency. This is for an Earth observation satellite where we are going to demonstrate in orbit our ISL optical communications capability. And I would also like to mention in terms of challenges that, yes, being a startup, securing GEO satellite is definitely a challenge without having a heritage. At this moment, I'd also like to highlight that we received a contract from Malaysia for providing a GEO communication satellite. And we're also about to close a contract with an Indian company for a GEO satellite, where the end user is the Indian Defense. Thank you.
Thanks. Richard French. I lead BD and strategy for Rocket Lab Space Systems. It's nice to be here. Rocket Lab, of course, is a vertically integrated end-to-end space company. We are the global leader in dedicated small launch. We are expanding into larger launch vehicles, and we are providing satellite platforms as well as spacecraft components as a merchant component supplier. And so it's been a great year at Rocket Lab. On the Electron front, we passed 50 launches, the fastest launch vehicle to hit 50 launches. We're the second most launched vehicle out of the U.S. And continue to increase our launch rate. We've got a launch happening in just about an hour, I think. So tune into the webcast. We have had some great accomplishments with Neutron, our new larger launch vehicle, including engine hot fire and making progress on qualification of the vehicle on our way towards our test launch in mid-year 2025. And so great progress there. On the satellite bus side, it's been a great year for satellite manufacturing. We just some time ago shipped our first vehicle in the series of Globalstar platforms to our partners at MDA. We also delivered 2 spacecraft to NASA to fly to the moon, to fly to Mars. The Escapade mission, our first NASA science mission, delivered, and we're about to launch the second vehicle in the series of vehicles for Varda Space Industries, and have many other programs going that I could talk about. The most high profile being that we're a prime contractor for the Space Development Agency Tranche 2 Transport Layer beta program. So I'll leave the highlights there. I think as far as challenges, right now it's really about getting to the pad for Neutron. Start to approach that CapEx holiday, hit profitability on the business once we stop that investment and continue to grow.
That's awesome. So my name is Nicolas Donat. I'm the head of Corp Dev for Loft Orbital. We're not a bus manufacturer. We're actually a space infrastructure as a service company. What that means historically is we've had a focus on physical missions, trying to really simplify how customers access space. So we buy buses. We're bus agnostic, but right now we're really focused on our Airbus Longbow platform, which is built as a derivative of the Aero platform that OneWeb leverages. And what we essentially do is we fly missions as a service for our customers, whether it's a rideshare mission, just getting a payload to orbit, a dedicated satellite or a dedicated constellation like we're going to do for the Space Development Agency as well, or other customers. I think one of the highlights of this year has been the launch of our YAM-6 satellite. This is actually a satellite that's fully owned and operated by Loft Orbital to really launch our concept of virtual missions. So in this case, what we're doing is we're allowing software and other types of customers deploy their applications, be it a AI geospatial application, a SIGINT application, whatever it may be, to our satellites on orbit within a compute and storage environment that enables a wider variety of applications. So really moving from the pure kind of physical realm to the virtual realm. We've also launched a YAM-7 mission, which is Hydrosat's first satellite. Hydrosat is a customer of ours. They're a remote sensing player focused on thermal imagery and really focused on agriculture and other applications. So really enabling our customer to get to orbit faster with their first satellite has been really exciting. And then I think the third and final maybe highlight I would bring up is the announcement of the establishment of OrbitWorks. OrbitWorks is a joint venture that we've launched in Abu Dhabi. We're going to be integrating and deploying satellites, testing and assembling and integrating and testing satellites out of Abu Dhabi. And we're extremely excited to make that a reality in the next year. To get to the challenges, and keep it quick because Eddie's giving me the look, I think the virtual mission is what I would highlight the most. It's a new space. Not a lot of companies are playing in it, and really ironing out the business model is going to be critical. So I'll stop talking there.
So you are not in the same model as those guys are, right? You are not charging customers when you deliver the satellites. You are actually charging customers on orbit, right? That's your business model?
Correct. So we can buy a bus from any player out there, and then deploying a constellation or a satellite to orbit and charging it as a service.
How many percent of your total satellite price, if you will, are paid on orbit? 100%?
We can talk about it. It really, I think we have a unique flexibility depending on whether it's a rideshare, just a payload, or full constellation, the amount that is paid pre-launch or post-launch on a quarterly basis, like a cloud kind of type contract.
Traditionally, manufacturers have been accepting an innovative incentive like 10%, 15% of the total cost, total price. That's supposedly...
The reason why I can't give you a number is not out of a lack of transparency, but out of how much we can really work with our customers. Some customers, right, government customers, they have a budget earmark.
What happens if I'm not credible enough financially? Do you still do the same deal or no?
Eddie, if you come to me, you might have to pay 99.9% before launch.
So you guys are manufacturing model, right? And lots of new satellite manufacturers, and maybe LEO market may be better than GEO, but unlike Melco or Maxa, you don't have multiple different market segments to mitigate your risks, so to speak, right? You are more like in a commercial market. So that's a good business to be a manufacturer of satellites?
Yeah, so typically the entire Asia Pacific region, we're looking at catering to this market from India, and where we have extensive access to the resources, talent, and the government initiatives that has opened up the testing facilities, where we can cater to the complete Asia Pacific.
So you are looking at those markets basically to serve, or you are still targeting entire world market?
So I would say we're looking at the South American, African, and parts of Asian market.
I'm asking because I came from satellite manufacturing industry and I didn't enjoy my profit at all. That's why I don't understand that someone who is coming into the market newly. So that's why my question.
Yeah, I mean,
currently,
we like it a lot. I mean, it's great business. 5 years ago, there were a few of us sitting around soldering PCAs in the back room trying to figure out what we would sell, and now we're 70% of the company, 2,000-person company. And so, yeah, we're really enjoying it. But I think we set out to solve hard problems. that was our thesis. We wanted to add value by building platforms that did operationally relevant things, diversified across customer base. And so whether it's national security, civil space, and commercial, and so I think we have that. What I found oddly satisfying was discovering that we should also be a merchant component vendor. And so this brings another level of diversification to our business. And even though it's, selling widgets is kind of boring, I mean, I won't say who in this room we sell to, but if you want to raise your hand, we're more than happy to acknowledge your business and thank you. Because we love to support, and there's a satisfaction in that's really fun.
You have a different markets like defense and commercial.
Yeah. I mean, we have a $500 million DoD contract. I've got a tactically responsive space mission. We're very excited to see how that grows and maybe turns into a POR. We've got direct-to-device, cell phone constellations that we're, in serial production for customers. We just delivered 2 spacecraft to NASA to go to Mars, and so yeah, it's good diversification.
And I guess you have many more businesses with $1.5 billion investment by Apple too, right? New projects.
I mean, from what's public, right? We're building satellites for Globalstar, and like I said, we delivered our first platform to Montreal earlier this year, and we're now in serial production. So yeah, really, I mean, that was an exciting program because it's not. It's LEO, but it's 1,414 kilometers, and so the technology stack required to be successful in that kind of a proton environment is really different than what a lot of people fly in a typical LEO, and so we're really happy for that program to teach us to solve another hard problem.
I think Eddie mentioned earlier that I was supposed to be on the GEO panel, but here I am. So I'd like to mention here that currently there are like a handful of companies who build GEO satellites at about maybe €500 million euros and with longer lead times. So we're looking at reducing the masses to about 750 to 810 kilograms, targeting the small GEO market, with lead times that are as short as 7 years, where the capex comes down, and moreover, nations which would like to, own the satellites and the space infrastructure completely is something what we are looking at offering the nations with for military communication and the sovereign capability there.
So you have any issues about supply chain, which came up in the last panel? Do you see some challenges about maintaining the supply chain right now?
Yeah, maybe I can start because I think it's always good if you guys answer in a row.
Let's be quick, though.
I'll keep it super quick. I think supply chain resiliency is super important. The way in which we target it is through agnosticism. So again, by not being vertically integrated and being bound to a certain bus platform, payload platform, this is kind of an obvious answer, but you have a little bit more resiliency, establishing more links. We're also able to really work regionally with different players where appropriate to get the best capability or the most right-sized capability for the customers. So I think that's kind of how we approach it.
Yeah, and of course, vertical integration is part of our story. We keep learning this lesson over and over again. And so when, we insourced recently titanium hydrazine tanks, large tanks with surface tension devices and baffles for our planetary mission to Mars because our tank supplier wasn't delivering. And so we had 18-month, they had an 18-month head start on us. We insourced, and guess which tanks are integrated to the satellite today. So we keep learning that lesson over and over again, but there's still stuff that we don't do. And so, yeah, we need strong relationships with our vendors in certain technology domains that have really high barriers to entry. I think we also have to acknowledge we're asking the supply chain to do hard things right now. We're asking them to build at constellation scale. We're asking them to do optical cross links. We're asking them to do low thrust systems. And it's kind of interesting, the expectations that we have. Things that were research and development 2 years ago, we expect them to be commoditized by now. And so, I think those are reasonable expectations. We can deliver on them, but it takes a lot of management, a lot of diligence, which I think we're rising to that challenge.
Nice. Yeah, and if I'm looking at Thailand, I'm planning to build a satellite with a local partner in Thailand. So this is one of our approaches towards handling the supply chain.
Actually, Astroscale also builds satellite. My dilemma is which is cheaper, buying lots of things from outside versus making lots of things inside. If I look at Starlink, they make majority of the things in-house. Amazon, same way. Traditionally, I think a geo world, people have been saying that the buying is cheaper because you can control FFP contracts and the risk is small. After moving from geo industry to the country where I am not able to find a real answer yet. That's my real feeling. What do you think about make versus buy? Which is cheaper?
It's very hard to answer. What we try to do for our customers is simplify that and allowing them to de-risk. So we'll take the inventory risk, we'll buy buses, have them on a rack ready to go. We have relationships with different payload providers, and very often instead, the payload providers are actually our customers. That way, they're not taking that lead time risk. We're taking that for them. A launch is booked. All you need to do is test that your payload, the payload you want, whether we bought it for you or you brought it, works on our bus, and we have a way to make that super fast, and you launch it. So long as that problem is there, we'll never really fully evolve the business model, which is what we're trying to do on behalf of our customers. But it's a critical question, yeah.
I would go with buy for now. So we are using the
Buy is cheaper?
reliable subsystems, which comes with a good performance and flight heritage. So we don't charge the NREs that goes into building each subsystem to our
It
customer.
means that you do the system work and you buy the components and
Yeah,
you
exactly.
integrate everything. That's
Yeah,
what you
exactly.
mean.
And the software that we built is almost 80 to 90% built, and it can suit most mission
Is that
requirements.
because you're looking at a kind of a small volume business compared to some of the real projects like Richard's doing, or in
So
general?
our primary focus would be small geos. So we have our
In
first
that
mission
case.
with Europe.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you'd agree to geo guys in general?
Yeah, but our first mission is on LEO, and this is with the European Space Agency, so where we qualify our software, and we actually passed the PDR, so it goes to a very intensive review there, and we deploy this to our GEO satellite. So yeah, as I said, we can meet the new speed, speed and cost to the market, new space speed and cost to the market.
How is the case of you?
Well, I love it when people want to buy. That's good for our business. We prefer to make, but outside of those key areas where we don't have capability yet. But I don't think it's a question of what's cheaper. I don't think it's a question of just price, right? I mean, price is important, but what are you trying to accomplish? I think that one of the reasons that you have a hard time finding a commodity bus for what you do is you're trying to solve a hard problem, and we respect that, and that's why we like working with you. And so that's if your problem is easy and it fits a chase to the bottom low price approach, okay, that's a reasonable question. But if you're trying to solve a hard problem, then you're going to work with somebody that understands that and can add value in more ways than just a low price.
Actually, that's an interesting thing. It doesn't really relate to volume business or not. That's what you mean, right? And basically, you are looking for more like, which is better to control your process and everything. That's a key thing.
Yeah, I mean, giving schedule assurance.
Yeah.
The old adage, technical schedule costs. Pick one or two. We can't do that, right? We have to deliver on the contract, but for us, technical is number one. It's got to work, and it's got to do more than what we said it was going to do. How do we meet? How do we compete in this cost wise? Owning it helps a lot. Eliminating margin stacking, particularly when we start talking about really expensive items of BOM, and then schedule. You're just going to go, sit a subcontract manager at a supplier and yell at him, or are you going to pay your own people overtime and get the job done over the weekend?
Do you have any plan to go to a Neo Geo type architecture eventually, or you stay with Leo?
Well, I would say that we're already kind of there. I mean, it depends on where you want to start MEO. I mean, our platform, our Lightning bus is going to be flying at 1,414 kilometers, but it'll do so for 12 years. And so that lifetime creates a resilience which can be moved to other domains. We've done a lot of analysis looking at MEO, 8 to 10,000 kilometers, as well as GEO. And then, of course, we've got our planetary missions, which is kind of in our DNA. And when I met Peter back 6 years ago, and I asked, and as, I don't know, I shouldn't say this, but I don't find rockets that interesting. They're strategic. I mean, our whole strategy is owning access to space. I absolutely believe it's critically important. But I'm a mission guy. I like satellites, and so when I discovered he had this vision of an end-to-end space company, I asked him, "What do you think about planetary?" He said, "Let's do it." So I said, "Okay, sign me up." So we do a lot of work in that domain as well, and so I think that gives us kind of the muscles to be able to go into those other domains. But I love the technology stack that we have in our Lightning platform, and yeah, it'll go to MEO.
And you have no plan to go into the payload side, basically bus.
Well, what I'll say is that we're getting experience today integrating payload elements on our Space Development Agency mission.
So you're integrating payload to
Yep,
the system?
we're
That's what
integrating payloads and building tactical communication satellites for our tactically responsive space mission with Space Safari. We're integrating payloads for an NEI mission, and that integrated launch and satellite capability is going to be really interesting in swapping other payloads out, and we're designing it that way. And so turning that into an ISR platform, RF detection platform, et cetera. And so yeah, I mean, we're in the meat and potatoes realm right now. We like building buses and integrated launch and satellite solutions is where we're at right now.
Nicolo, actually, you do some payload work, I guess, right? And you buy the bus and you integrate everything into the spacecraft?
Yeah, so some customers want to do the testing themselves, but we integrate it. So we have extensive payload integration capabilities. We also have a lot of in-house RF payload capabilities.
So the business model doesn't have to be LEO then. You can go to GEO, you can go to anywhere, any mission, communication, non-communication. Is that the case?
So our heritage is in LEO. The current buses and platforms we've operated are LEO qualified and deployed. We're not constrained by that in the long term, so we are definitely looking at higher orbits, depending on really the customer demand.
And Sangita, my last question, you stay with GEO only, or you do LEO as well, right now or future?
So first mission is LEO. As I mentioned, our primary focus would be small GEO to nations where there is a need for certain capability and handling secure.
Okay, I think time is up. Thank you very much, guys. And
thank you.
Looking forward
Thank you
to
very
the
much,
next
Eddie
opportunity.
and Richard and Nicola. It was great. Thank you.
Likewise.